Hello YouTube fans, Durrant here, and welcome to an updated deck profile for Shiranui. Shiranui never got a hit on the battle list, thank God, because we weren't running upstats at that point. The deck had enough consistency to not utilize upstats, and it didn't take much of a hit because Rikeki didn't get banned, as some people did think. But I thought I'd update the deck anyway to keep it for the April format and essentially talk about a couple of other cards and new cards that you could use. So the first of these will be Daunting Pose, and then the second will be a brilliant fusion engine using the new fairy tale Shirayuki, which is pretty good. It can help very much, and let's talk a little bit about Necrophase again in this video. So without further ado, let's go back into the deck. We have one Shiranui Samurai. This is a Cosmo out, as it can banish a zombie, gain 600 attack, and banish anything that battles with this card after damage calculation, which is very good. It can banish a Dark Destroyer and stop them floating. Also, when it is banished, you can target a Shiranui in your graveyard and add to your hand, which can re-add your Sage or your Spirit Master depending on which situation you're in. Then you have two Shiranui Spirit Master. 2 is a good level for this card because you can reuse it through shooting Doji and Shiranui Sage. So 2 is fine. Plus it keeps your trap card alive. You don't want to if you dead draw just one copy of it and you don't have any other copies of it, you kinda hurt your trap card quite dangerously. So 2 is necessary. When it is normal summon, you can special summon a Shiranui from your hand or graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. So this is good for more rank 4 options. Only have one rank 4 option, which is Castell, but it's still decent for that. When it is banished, you can tag one face-up card on your opponent controls and destroy it, which turns the trap card into a Fire Lake, which is very good for this deck. One Shiranui Smith. When it's sent to graveyard for a synchro summon, you can add a Shiranui card from your deck to your hand, which is nice, good for turn 1, particularly if you don't have the right setup. Also, when it is banished, you can protect zombies from being destroyed by battle. Hardly ever comes up. 1 is a good amount for this card because you don't want to draw it. You want to send it to the graveyard through Foolish Burial or Uni-Zombie and then reborn it through Mizuki. That's all you do with this guy. Then triple Shiranui Sage, the best card in the deck. Shiranui Sage is a lone fire for this deck as it can tribute any zombie type to special summon a zombie 2-0 with 0 defense from your deck. That allows you to go for PSY-Framelord Omega turn 1, which is very good. Also, when it is banished, you can target a Shiranui in your banishment zone and reborn it, which is great. If your Shiranui sits on the field, you can choose 2 targets instead, which is even better. Shiranui Sage essentially has a good combo with Shiranui Spectral Sword, allowing you to bring forth Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, as you banish Spectral Sword with the Sage to summon out your Archfiend Zombie Skull. Sage will reborn your Spectral Sword onto the board and sync for Crystal Wing. Very good. But essentially he sets off your engine and is very good in this deck. Next we have 2 Shiranui Spectral Sword. When it's in your graveyard, except turn sent to the graveyard, you can banish a non-tuner zombie and this card to special summon a zombie synchro monster from your extra deck that's level is equal to those monsters banished. Which means you can bring forth Archfiend Zombie Skull in this deck without using Plague Spreader, which is brilliant. There is also the alternative option of bringing forth Revived King Hades for the Cosmo matchup. If you can power it up, you can essentially be over any of the big ships and stop them floating. So that's very good as well, but I've chosen Archfiend Zombie Skull just because he has more protection, and it's unlikely you're going to be using this deck against a Cosmo deck because it still is slightly competitive, it's just not on the level of Cosmo. Then we have 2 Zombie Master, 3 Zombie Master Clogs, but 2 is very good. You discard a monster to target a zombie in your graveyard that's level 4 or lower and resurrect it. It allows you to combo very effectively and bring out multiple synchros, thanks to this card. Then we have triple Mizuki, the heart and soul of the deck, banish this card to summon a zombie from your graveyard, which is very powerful. So yeah, Mizuki always going to be free of in any zombie deck. Then we have 2 Shuden Doji. Shuden Doji was bumped up in the last video because of the fact it has synergy with Shiranui's. You can banish two zombies from your graveyard, most likely Shiranuis, to draw one card. So you can set off the Fire Lake-like effect of Spirit Master and the resurrection effect of Sage, as well as draw one card. That can be very, very powerful. And then you can also target one zombie monster in your banishment zone and place it on top of your deck. These can only be used once per turn, only one effect per turn I should say, which is a little bit annoying, but it's an older card, so that is very acceptable. So you can reset your Mizukis if you don't have any access to your Uni-Zombie Omega at that time. Then we have triple Golden Zombie, the best searcher for this deck. It adds any zombie with 1200 defense or less from your deck to your hand if it's sent from the field to the graveyard, which means you can search out more or less every card in this deck that is monster, except for the Light Swan support, obviously. So that's very good. Plus, if you inflict spell damage to your opponent, then top card your opponent's deck to the graveyard, which can be pretty annoying to something like Pendulums. Then we have Uni-Zombie, our tuner for the deck. Well, except from Sexual Sword. Uni-Zombie can send any zombie from the deck to the graveyard to level modulate one monster on the board. It can also discard a card to level modulate a monster on the board, which is very, very good, as you'll be able to set up your plays for PSY-Framelord Omega and also manipulate your opponent's levels so they can't exceed or synchro with that monster that you've modulated, which is very nice. Next, onto the Light Swan engine. We run a small Light Swan engine of 2 Ride and 1 Lumina and 2 Charge. This is just to speed up the deck. I didn't know what else to put in the deck at this point. Maybe upstarts were an option, but no longer an option. So this part of the engine will definitely speed it up and give you alternative plays for later. So Radiant mill in your deck, hopefully get lucky with a Mizuki mill, could be very powerful. Lumina to reborn your Radiant and allow you to sync with someone for level 7s, and 2 charges to search your deck, which is very good. Then we have 2 Book of Life, which is a Monster Reborn and a DD Crow in 1 for this deck, which is very powerful. It's a shame you can't use it turn 1. 2 is fine, 3 would be a bit cloggy. Then Regeki, because it's Regeki, it's a Monarch out. Soul Charge to reborn all those fallen synchros and make something that is just very powerful. And you can combo it on turn 1 when you don't have your attacks to maybe make out 2 PSY-Framelord Omegas. Then we have Foolish Burial, which is a staple in any zombie deck. Send a Mizuki to the graveyard, boom, profit. Then 2 Twin Twisters, because the card cost isn't very high in this deck, and you can easily out Monarchs with this card. Then 2 Shiranui style Synthesis. This basically allows you to reborn your zombie monsters that are 0 defense, which means any of the Shiranui archetype, Zombie Master himself, and Uni-Zombie, which is very, very good by only discarding 1 card. You can also target one of your banished zombie monsters with 0 defense and return to the graveyard. So this gets around your opponent's, say, Dark Magic circling your Uni-Zombie, as you can put it back into the graveyard. Hopefully you have a Mizuki already in there to use with it, and boom, you've got your Uni-Zombie back without losing any real advantage, which is very powerful. Plus it combos well with Shiranui Sage. Then we have triple Shiranui style Swallow Slash, which is very powerful and perfect support for the zombie deck. You can tribute a zombie to target 2 cards on the field, destroy them, then banish a Shiranui from your deck. That means you're allowed to Fire Lake, as you will be banishing Spirit Master and will pop 3 cards. Very good in this deck. And then finally, Daunting Pose. This is perfect fodder for you to discard with Uni-Zombie, as you can lock your opponent out to attacking if this is comboed with PSY-Framelord Omega. The combo in its terms would be summoning PSY-Framelord Omega, then banishing Daunting Pose during your draw phase to target PSY-Framelord Omega, making it the only target for attacks that turn. Then Omega in the standby phase will return to the graveyard, and then when your opponent activates a card, you use Omega to tag out, and then your opponent cannot attack you at all because the attack target is gone and there's no more targets. Boom, instant profits. Daunting Pose, a very good card, but you don't have much consistency with this card to make it spammable every duel, so it's more of a one-off tech for me. If it was something like Infernoid and it was full force, Daunting Pose would be definitely free of in the deck, but since we don't run Reasoning or something like that, does a person more of a one-of, very lucky and very powerful. Onto the extra deck, 1 Castell. For the times when you need an Exceed monster, Castell can be very good. It can also be summoned very easily with Spirit Master. Then onto the synchros, we have 1 Shiranui Samurai Saga, which is a very nice synchro monster that is zombie, very cheap because of the common. You can, during your player's turn, you can target a banished zombie monster, shuffle it into the deck, and then if you do, change all defense position monsters that your opponent controls with attack less than equal to this monster's attack. Yes, yeah, I always get mixed up with this wording essentially with this card. So if their attack is lower than your zombie's monster's, I think it's defense. Defense equal to the monster. Oh no, change it to defense if the attack is lower than the attack. So say your opponent's got a break with a magical warrior on the board. You can shuffle back your Mizuki into the deck, which is quite good. Indeed, so it has some kind of recycling, but PSY-Framelord Vega does usually do it better. He's mainly used for synchro summoning with. And when it is banished, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls and loses 500 attack. This is a mandatory effect, so it won't miss timing. I have used that effect once, but it won me the game because of it. Then we got 1 Archfiend Zombie Skull. Archfiend Zombie Skull could not be normal synchro summoned. It would have to be summoned through Spectral Sword, but it's a price you are willing to pay, as Zombie Skull can protect all zombie monsters you control from being destroyed by card effects, which is very powerful indeed. Then on to the level 7s, we got 1 Ancient Fairy Dragon to destroy field spells and add our own field spell to the hand. Black Rose Dragon because it's a nuke. Moonlight Rose Dragon to bounce back the special summon monsters and its mandatory effect, and Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, which is a bit dumbed down this deck. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep him in the deck following further support for synchros, but Clear Wing is alright for now. Negates monster effects that are level 5 or higher on the field, and it can also stop it being targeted essentially by stuff like 101 or Castell, which is very good. Then we have our level 8s, 1 Scrap Dragon to combo with Beals and get an instant free pop. 2 PSY-Framelord Omega. I think 2 is mandatory in Shiranui Zombies 2.0. In Necrophase you would probably run 3 because you can bring out 3. You can run 3 in this. 1 in this would be a bit subpar. Using 2 would be the best amount. It has 3 tiers of effects. Its first effect is during each player's main phase, you can banish it from this field and 1 random card in your opponent's hand. Very good against decks that are fusion based, ritual based, or something like Cosmo, because you could hit the right targets and stop that card going off. Secondary effect, which is the best effect, once per turn during your opponent's standby phase, return a banished card to the graveyard. Sets up your Mizukis for your next turn. Absolutely brilliant. And when it is in your graveyard, you can target one of the card in either player's graveyard and shuffle both this card and that card into the deck, which can basically DD Crow in reverse, which is pretty good. Pretty good indeed. Then 1 Shiranui Soken Saga. I don't bring this out much, but when I do, I need it as a beat stick. When it's special summon, you can banish a zombie from your graveyard and gains attack equal to that banished monster's attack, which is pretty good. It can make it probably at maximum 5500 if you've used Shiranui Soken Saga with that duel, which is pretty powerful, plus you'll be reducing your opponent's monster by 500. If it is destroyed on the field by battle or card effects and sent to the graveyard, you can tag one of your banished zombie with 0 defense and return to the graveyard, which means you can put back any of your Shiranuis, your Zombie Master, or your Uni-Zombie, and you don't lose much from your banishment, which is nice, but usually your opponent will not destroy this by battle or card effects. Then Skylight, it's also a nuke, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, because you can combo very well with Spectral Sword and Stage, as I mentioned earlier, and it can negate monster effects, which is very powerful, and has a built-in honest effect, which is also very powerful. Then 1 Void Ogre Dragon? What the hell? Void Ogre Dragon. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a spell trap card and you have no card in hand, you get the activation. If you do, destroy it, which is very good indeed. Gives you a nice combo with Crystal Wing, negating more or less anything that your opponent throws at you. And then Beals, because it's Beals, can't be destroyed by battle card effect. This can be very dangerous against something like Cosmo, which can't really get around Beals unless they use Cosmojo or Exceed Summon. So yeah, this is the deck. It didn't have much updates, to be fair, because of the ban list not actually hitting this deck, but I thought I'd update it anyway. And on to the Brilliant Fusion Engine. So originally someone suggested to use Brilliant Fusion Engine because they were having difficulties additionally summoning monsters and not going for the Synchro Summon on that turn. Brilliant Fusion gets around this because you get Seraphonite and then you get 2 normal summons that turn, and that allows you to go off if you only have a Uni-Zombie in hand, which is very good. Very good indeed, but we didn't have a very suitable light target for the deck. Now this is where the new Fairy Tale Shiranui comes into play, as this has the effect to basically, during either player's turn, banish while this card's in the graveyard, banish 7 other cards from your hand, field or graveyard and special summon this card. Very powerful. It's not once per turn either, and it can set off all your Shiranui effects. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Shiranuis in the deck, so a maximum of 5 effects, well actually 6 effects because you also count Samurai Saga, can go off and boom, this is very powerful. This is also a level 4 that can easily reborn, so it has a lot of synergy with Shiranui and it should definitely be tested out. I will test this out myself. Probably going to use Garnet as the option. Lazuli doesn't really help me anything unless I'm using Master Kyunchi in the deck, and that'll be another additional deck, and that wouldn't really work. It can also be very good again with Necroface, as you can banish 2 Necrofaces from your graveyard and then banish top 10 cards from the deck. So powerful. It has a lot of synergy there as well, so maybe the way I'm going to try the Brilliant Fusion Engine is probably with Necroface. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this deck profile. Please like, subscribe if you enjoyed this and want to see further content. Please leave your comments below if you've got suggestions for my decks or suggestions for my channel in general. If you want to see a deck update for the April 2016 ban list, please leave those comments below. And if you want to see when I'm streaming, please like my Facebook page, which is in the description below. Thank you. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you for watching. Durrant, signing out.